ladies and gentlemen and ladies and gents. Okay, we need to talk about something if y'all don't mind. There is a program that we're just getting ready to start. We're going to discount all of our members coming into this program. This program, we don't have a price for it yet, but it is designed to help improve your credit and credit profile, including getting those bankruptcies taken off your credit report. Most people don't know how to do that. It is not complicated. It's real simple. They're not allowed to report bankruptcies on people's credit report. All you have to do is point that out, that the bankruptcy court does not report individuals' bankruptcies and that your bankruptcy is not part of public record because there is no way to accurately identify you as the debtor, since the bankruptcy has a policy of redacting social security numbers and birth dates. Ta-da! That's it. I'll give that to you for free because that's easy. Tell me about it. Most people don't know. That's why it's given to you. You don't need me, but most of our programs, we do work that other people don't want to do, don't have the time to do, or can't figure out how to do it, even though we give them instructions. You feel me? So, we have some people who've tested the system out, ladies and gentlemen. When they tested the system out, one of the companies that you're going to be hearing about very soon is called, oh, look at that. Oh, Cormata. Sorry. Coremata. Cormata. Okay. And because core matters, Cormata, will be starting very shortly. The individuals have been testing out the system to make sure it works. One individual had a 520 credit score. In less than 6 months, his credit score is at 780. It may be more than that now because it was 782 weeks ago. Okay? And if he had pay attention, a 520 credit score, that lets you know his credit wasn't all that great. And the others have seen more than a 200 point bump in their credit. Okay? We're going to provide training on how you can fix your own credit and start your own company if you want. We're going to do that at SATCOMM for you. I just have to put the program together for you guys. We're going to have a staff member there to help. Sometimes I'll be there, sometimes I won't, but we're going to provide the training. Okay? And the training will come with the service. So if there's an additional fee, because if I have to bring in other people, I have to compensate them for their time. You guys know me. People don't pay me for my time in my meetings. To this day, we've started 4 programs already. And I'm just at the meetings. I don't receive any payment for being at the meetings. Even with SATCOMM, I don't get paid for the meetings at SATCOMM or any of the other organizations I put together. You're not paying me. I'm not here to take your funds. I don't want your money. I can't say, like I told people this morning, $100,000 plus given to people last year for helping people. Well, last year and part of this year. For helping people. And I told you about the one young lady. I'm not gonna call her out or anything like that. That would be, in my opinion, that would be wrong. I'm not gonna do that. But who decided that she was just gonna take advantage. We had an agreement. There were certain things that I put in place that were not supposed to happen, and that's her not keeping in touch with me, making sure of the fact that the funds were used specifically for that purpose. I don't believe she used them specifically for that purpose, and that's what I think her embarrassment is. But she doesn't understand that's where she messed it up for herself. Look, everyone, your grandfathers, your grandmothers, pay attention. I do believe that I don't believe in what goes around comes around. I don't believe in no stupid karma. Okay, that's just somebody coming up with a variation of Jehovah's universal law. A law that even he must follow. Yeah, you heard what I said. He's the one who put the law in place, so even he has to follow his own law. I didn't say obey. We have to obey. He just has to follow the principles of his law. You reap what you sow. Think about that. No human could have come up with that on their own. Humans are not smart enough like that. But guess what? Every single day of the week, do we not reap what we sow at every single moment? Because we cannot escape this fact. Okay? We cannot. And so the young lady, I don't wish nothing bad on her, but the fact is she's got to reap the consequences of her actions. And she'll come to me and want to apologize and so forth and so on. And it ain't that I'm not going to accept her apology. It's just that it's going to be too late because she had the opportunity now. And so she's got to reap the consequences. I'm not going to ask that things go easier on her, because I tried to make things easier for her and she didn't want that. She wanted to cause me stress. She wanted to cause me trouble. She wanted to cause me pain. So that being the case, it can only be what it is. Are you trying to say it is what it is? No, it can only be what it is. Okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take the time to explain to all of you that we're going to be starting up that program to help you all with your credit. Look, we can't make the system get rid of your debt. Okay? Too many other people have been trying too many things and they've been ruining it for everybody. But we can put you in a position where you can now take your documentation and get rid of that debt permanently. That's what we're doing for our clients. We have a couple more things we have to work on. About 3 more letters we have to send out, and then we're going to let our clients know what to do next. Now, here's the thing. We told all of our clients at the very beginning, don't stop making your payments. That's why we said we weren't accepting anybody who was in the middle of a foreclosure. Now, we got quite a few people who told us, I ain't made a payment in like 18 years. Seriously, I got people who said they haven't made payment in years. Now, the banks, they're going to eventually come after the property because it's not the banks. Remember, the banks didn't lend you a single dime. If y'all don't understand that, we're going to do one, only one, because I got to go. Wake up. Do you know that financial institutions continue to suggest that they lend money to people when in fact they're just intermediaries? Period. The law specifically says that only the Federal Reserve can lend Federal Reserve notes. Period. But even the Federal Reserve violates the law by lending credit. There is no provision in the law for lending credit. Lending, comma, and therefore, when the deposit of the note is made to the Federal Reserve and they lend or extend credit, they have breached the agreement between the parties because they utilize the, open quote, dollar symbol, close quote, sign, dollar sign, comma, to indicate that the borrower somehow received this and are to pay that back in exchange for the lawful money they received from the Federal Reserve or its member bank or its agent. Stop listening. Under the Federal Reserve Act, particularly as amended by the Emergency Banking Relief Act, only Federal Reserve banks are authorized to issue Federal Reserve notes. Conclusions of law: commercial banks, Wells Fargo, cannot be a lender. Pay attention. Bank of America cannot be a lender. Capital One cannot be a lender. Under law, commercial banks are not lenders of Federal Reserve notes. They act as intermediaries, just agents, extending credit created upon the acceptance of the depositor's instrument, the promissory note, and not lawful money lent from their own reserves. Fact: the Federal Reserve Act defines authority to issue currency. Only Federal Reserve notes may be issued by Federal Reserve banks, and for no other purpose are they authorized. Conclusions of law: only Federal Reserve banks, not commercial banks or membered banks, are lawfully authorized to issue Federal Reserve notes. They did not lend you anything. If they're calling themselves a lender, you need to check them, because the law says that they are not lenders. Because on your promissory note, they use the dollar symbol to indicate the amount that you owe, The dollar symbol, when used for loan contracts by banks, is presented to imply that the borrower received United States legal tender. Conclusion of law: this is a constructive fraud, and no lawful money is tendered in a transaction, which means it has to be something of value. It's called value and consideration. They didn't provide you anything of value. You don't owe them a dang thing. Okay? But rather, it creates credit entries against the borrower's own promissory note. This is not a bona fide loan, but an exchange of obligations where the bank provides no consideration as defined in contract law. And he's going to continue to give you facts. So I just did a video. Let's do this. Uh-oh, don't want that. Whew, almost messed up. We're going to update it so that y'all have that. I'm going to put that link with this video as well. Okay? I'm going to put that video, that conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to tell you is go and solve your financial problems with these idiots saying that you owe them money. Go and solve your problem with the idiot saying you owe on a car note, on a student loan, on a home loan, on a HELOC, on a credit card. You all need to understand, you don't owe them money. They only extended to you credit. You don't have to pay them back in money. That's not the agreement. The agreement is that they have to give consideration. There is no value in their credits. Wake up. There is no value in bank issued credits. So why is it that they imply that they gave something of value when they cannot prove they gave something of value? And how is it possible that they are foreclosing on people's property without ever having to produce evidence that they gave something of value? Question mark. Stop listening. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I took my eye off the prize. Young lady sent me a priority package, and I'm looking at the priority mail package. Okay, I see what it is. They asked for a signature confirmation. Okay, yeah, because it was $14. It shouldn't be $14. It should be $9 and some odd cents. Anyway, the commercial bank does not lend lawful money. Okay, we already know that. In accordance with federal law, only Federal Reserve banks have the authority to, okay, we know that. The courts routinely permit foreclosures without requiring the foreclosing party to prove that something of value was given at the time of the alleged loan. This is a violation of due process. I know. The promissory note given by the borrower is recorded as bank assets, and that asset is then used to generate other forms of profit, including securitization, collateralization, and fractional reserve expansion. Oh, Lord! In many jurisdictions, the burden of proof is improperly shifted to the borrower to disprove the evidence of a loan, rather than requiring. Now look, they're the ones bringing the claim in court saying you owe them money. They have to provide proof. They cannot provide evidence. They have to provide proof. The junk they're providing as evidence is copies. Copies does not establish evidence. Okay? So this is what people get when they get a consult, is facts that can be proven. Now you just have to start speaking up for yourself. He gives me money when I'm in need. Daddy, I want some more money. I need an allowance. Because he said I was a gold digger. From way over town? Yeah. Sorry, my daddy didn't give me money. I told y'all the story about how I asked my daddy for money one time. I didn't actually ask him for money. I asked him for a bike. But then the day before he died, he ended up giving me money. More so than he gave my brothers and sisters. So can I explain this just for a second? I really would appreciate it. We were at a Jehovah's Witness assembly at Dodger Stadium. My father wasn't a rich man. But the food, danishes, sandwiches, drinks. The sandwiches, bologna, cheese. They had other sandwiches. What do you call it? Almost like a po' boy or whatever it was, the little Subway style sandwich. Those were 75 cents at the time. Yeah, not expensive at all. The sodas were 25 cents a can. Okay, plus the candy was 10 cents, 15 cents, and all that junk. It was cheap. So my father gave everybody $2 because we were kids. That's enough for us to get full and have lunch because that's all it was for lunch. Wasn't for to get through the whole day. That was just lunch. That was enough for us to get a drink, a sandwich, and something to snack on. Potato chips, which was 25 cents. Okay, potato chips, a sandwich, and a drink, that's $1. Well, $1.25, sorry. And we still had 75 cents left over? That's all he was doing. But he gave me $10. And my brothers and sisters, if you could hear that puppy dog, aww! Okay, that's what they did. And I took it from him. And he says, that's what I'm giving him, that's for him. Now, what they didn't know, but I realized it when my father gave it to me. That's why I didn't refuse it. My father knew that I would share it with my brothers and sisters, and you better believe they came to me asking for some. And they've been asking for stuff from me my entire life. But he knew that. And he knew that I wouldn't refuse them. He knew that I would share that with everybody around me, all of the people whom I knew. And I did. I think out of that whole thing, I bought a soda and a sandwich, and that's all I ate. Everything else, I spent the rest on everyone else. But he knew that. He didn't come back to me and ask me, okay, how much you have left over? He didn't do that because he knew. So when I tell you that last year I spent, yes, I know I feel the same way. When I tell you that I spent over $100,000 helping people last year, in one way or another, I don't joke with you. That's the Roosters, by the way. What I am disappointed in is people. Because, like my brothers and sisters, they took advantage of me. The majority of them. Now, some of them didn't intend to, but you would expect them to at least acknowledge a person. But many of them, I had to contact them and tell them, hey, how come I haven't heard from you? I didn't have to call them and say, hey, you passed the deadline. You were supposed to do something by this day. It didn't happen. That's not my job. But I waited until, hey, leave me alone. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Sorry, I apologize for that one. That one hears me talking, and that's all it does. Roosters are good for nothing, okay? I know, I'm talking about you. So that's what I have to deal with. So if you guys think one person I spoke with today says they only do that in the morning, please, they do that all day long, especially when they hear noise. So they are technically an alarm, the same as my dogs are an alarm. But anyway, that's my story. I wanted to share that with you guys. I will not change. I refuse. I've been this way all my life, and the fact when I speak to someone who I ain't met in 10, 15, 20 years, and they tell me, man, you ain't changed. Why would I change? I promised myself that I wouldn't change. I like my core. I like the person I am as a person. I am not going to change that. Yeah, I had to make some corrections and some adjustments. Everybody needs to make corrections and adjustments. But I know, I see you looking right at me. You waited, stupid idiot. Sorry. It looked right at me, tried to see where my voice was coming from, and looked into the screen and saw me, and then decided to do that again. Hey, they're not dumb. They're just stupid, okay? All right, you guys have a good day. We'll talk again. Goodbye. Good morning. Good day.